Tucker called in on the CB and said that this guy was here about 20 minutes ago.
Oh, I've been on since noon. Nobody likes.
Longmire changed how we all thought about the modern Western. It had great stories and awesome characters, and it's a show that fans still miss and would love to see more of. Let's look at some behind the scenes facts from the show. Respect for the culture. One thing that isn't a secret is the fact that this show has a lot of respect for the tribes of the Native Americans that are featured in the show. But what might be surprising is the amount of research that went into making the show as respectful as it is. The show did a lot of research on traditions and background information on the Cheyenne people. They made sure that they don't do anything that could be insulting or out of character for people who they're portraying. This was especially important for actor Lou Diamond Phillips, who plays Walt's friend and a Cheyenne man who works as a go-between the tribe and the sheriff. Phillips looks like he could have Native American ancestry, and this has led him to play a lot of characters that are Native American. Many people have been convinced that he had such an ancestry, and some say that his father still has some Cherokee ancestry, but Phillips said in interviews that this isn't true and that he's from Scots, Irish, and Filipino descent. Either way, he wanted to make sure that he did justice to his Longmire character, Henry Standing Bear. He studied the Cheyenne people to make sure that even his gestures and mannerisms would be really perfect renditions. His performance was so good that the Northern Cheyenne tribe made him an honorary member. It's pretty obvious that he did a really good job of making the character real. The entire production and series did their best to be really respectful of the people and the stories they're telling and make these stories really authentic. Tensions between the cast. Longmire went on for 6 seasons and it doesn't have a massive cast. The cast and crew became almost like a small town or a family. This is great. It meant that they all cared about each other and that the chemistry on the show was really incredible. They all seemed like they knew each other well and were super close. It looked like they all got along great. Even in interviews or panels, it was always obvious that the cast had a really wonderful bond and that they're all friends. But we all know families might love each other, but that doesn't mean they never fight. And this seems to be the case on the set of Longmire too. They have revealed the secret of at least one big blowout fight that happened on set. Katie Sackhoff told the story of the full-blown screaming match that she was one half of. Apparently, she was pretty close to Bailey Chase, and the two even rode over to work each day. It's safe to say that they were friends, but according to Katie, she was in a very negative headspace and was frustrated with how her life was going. Issues in her own personal life translated to being frustrated at work and getting annoyed with the storylines that her character was getting. She moaned about it a lot, mostly to Chase, whom she was spending a lot of time with while commuting. By her own admission, she was seriously negative on set and grumpy with people around them. It doesn't sound like she was a pleasant person to work with at the time, and Chase couldn't take it anymore. Eventually, he started screaming at her on set to change her attitude in front of everyone. Not the ideal or a very nice way of airing any grievances that you can have. They were both in the wrong, and it sounds like they eventually figured things out and became friends again. But the entire unpleasant experience did help Katie snap out of her dark mood and work hard towards being a more positive energy on every set that she works. It sounds like a seriously dramatic situation on a normally peaceful set. Just how glamorous are things behind the scenes? Longmire isn't a show that looks super glamorous in the first place, but you do expect that things would be a little bit fancy behind the scenes of any hit show. But the cast and people who were lucky enough to visit the set have shared how things were behind the scenes. It doesn't sound like things were super glamorous, but it does sound like a lot of it was fun. It doesn't look like the show that thinks about fashion all that much. The wardrobe department was massive, and the amount of outfits for the police and sheriff department was huge. There were some seriously less than glamorous moments on set too. For example, times when the cast had to shoot scenes where they were swimming in a freezing river or do scenes that were uncomfortable to shoot. The sets were pretty cool, and it sounds pretty impressive just how big some of them were. Seeing behind scenes would have been really awesome to have experienced. How the books worked in the show. Longmire is based on the book series by Craig Johnson that follows Walt Longmire on his many adventures trying to solve crimes. But just how closely did the series follow the books? The easy answer is that they didn't. Not entirely. According to the author and some of those that were involved with creating the show in the first place, Johnson didn't really want the series to follow the books at all. He wanted them to take the characters and create new stories surrounding these characters using the basis of the books but widening the world to add extra stories. The plan was to make stories that fans of the books could enjoy in an all new way, while fans that got to know the series first would still be able to go to the books and read and enjoy those separately. They did end up using some of the stories in the show, but not in the same order. That meant that fans didn't have that feeling that the show missed out on some of the most important parts of the book, something that is normally a big issue when it comes to people's favorite books being made into shows or movies. No one is ever entirely happy with the pieces that were used or not. So, taking a big part of that out of the equation helped to make the fans feel satisfied with the series. The ratings of the show. When the show started out on A&E, the network was not known for making a lot of drama series. The show was pretty unique for the network. No one was entirely sure how it was going to fit into the lineup or how viewers were going to feel about it. But it quickly built a pretty solid following and the ratings did really well. In fact, according to the network, Longmire was their best rated drama series, so it didn't make all that much sense when the network decided to cancel the show despite the ratings still being pretty good. But according to the rumors, the reasons behind it were the viewers watching the show. It was an older demographic that watched Longmire, and the network wanted a younger crowd. At least that's the theory, but luckily Netflix saved the show and had it continue for 3 more seasons. Netflix doesn't release their ratings, so we don't know how well the last 3 seasons did, but it sounds like they decided to end the show just because it had run its course, not thanks to the lack of ratings. Rather, it came to a natural conclusion, and that was why Netflix decided to end it after season 6 and give the fans the ending that they deserve. If you really missed the show, you can always go to the festival. That's right, there's an entire festival dedicated to Longmire that is held annually in Buffalo, Wyoming. They have lots of activities to make you feel like you have walked right into an episode of the show. It is a celebration of stories that were based on the books and show, and it is jam-packed with events for fans of the show to get a little piece of it. What makes the festival even more fun is the fact that there are loads of panels and interviews that involve all the cast members that are able to make it. It looks like they all have sort of a standing invitation, and most years many of the cast members decide to take up this invitation. They come to enjoy the festival and host some of the events. Sadly, this year things have been disrupted a little bit when they had to tone it down. But the heart of the festival will stay the same, and many of the cast members can still join via live streaming and enjoy the festival that way. It's called acting. We love the show and the characters, but that doesn't always mean that the actors who play the characters are similar to the characters they play. We have already seen that in Lou Diamond Phillips. He has no blood relations to the Cayenne people, even if he played the part incredibly well. The same type of thing goes for Walt Longmire himself, Robert Taylor. Walt is the perfect classic Western hero. He's everything that comes to mind when you think of a typical cowboy and sheriff. So it still shocks some fans that the actor doesn't even come from America. He is actually an Australian actor who is just really incredible when it comes to his job. He really understood the part and played Walt Longmire wonderfully. In fact, he was such a perfect Walt, the creator of the character, author Greg Johnson, actually picked the actor himself. He saw the audition tapes and loved Robert Taylor. He was everything that he envisioned when he wrote the character. The perfect Walt. It worked. I couldn't imagine anyone else playing the part better. Can you? Longmire was an awesome show that still has a super loyal following. Hey, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll catch you on the next one.